On Tuesday, Richard Branson's satellite launching company Virgin Orbit filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. The company failed to find a funding lifeline and is now looking to sell its assets. When a public company like Virgin Orbit goes bankrupt, there are no shortage of headlines. But there's an undercurrent happening right now in the bankruptcy world that isn't getting as much attention. This year, research shows private companies are filing for bankruptcy at rates that exceed what we saw at the height of the pandemic. UBS says a lot of these bankruptcies are at smaller firms for now, so the impact on assets and employees is not as egregious as the sheer number of filings. Experts say real estate is one place they're seeing a bankruptcy boom, while healthcare, retail, construction, restaurant, and financial sectors are ones to watch. I want to bring in the Honorable Kevin Carey, a former bankruptcy judge and current president of the American Bankruptcy Institute. If this was happening prior to the banking crisis, you said that it's been ticking up for the past couple of months, and we knew that credit was already tightening prior to that as well. What does a potential looming credit crunch do on top of that for businesses?
We've been talking about for really a long period of time now for the recession to happen. And so a lot of the lending is on hold. Investors don't want to put money into a volatile economy when it looks like there's uncertainty. The banking, I read today that in his message to shareholders, Jamie Dimon at JPM Chase said, the banking crisis isn't over yet. He says, not like it's going to like it was in 2008, but there's still reason to worry. Looking, it's not just in the U.S. Look what happened with Credit Suisse and UBS in Europe. So that's also, I think, creating some air of uncertainty. Look, we found out with Silicon Valley is that once a run on a bank starts, it can't be stopped.
You've overseen a lot of bankruptcies, and I'm wondering, with your expertise, what happens to businesses when capital is harder to come by?
Well, you put your finger on it, it's liquidity, right? Once liquidity runs out, companies are faced with very few choices. And of course, so many of the Chapter 11s now are filed for the purpose of conducting a going concern sale of the business. Seemingly long gone are the old traditional Chapter 11s where a company would stay in for a while, restructure, fix some business problems, or rehabilitate some business units, fix its balance sheet. Now it's so frequently simply to get a sale. And of course, sale orders signed by a bankruptcy judge have great value for buyers who know they're getting a business free of liens and other interests, which otherwise might hold a business back.
We haven't really seen much of an impact of this uptick in bankruptcies and the unemployment numbers yet. But if you consider that more than half of the privately employed workforce works in those small and medium-sized businesses, what do you foresee happening this year?
Well, see, that's one of those, factors that kind of swirls around. Unemployment continues to be down. There are other factors like high inflation that are negative influences on the economy. It just depends on what a particular business's issues are. Whether a business is in an industry that's growing or not growing, and whether the business is over leveraged. So many of the businesses that find their way into Chapter 11 are over levered, and businesses find themselves in a situation in which there's just no way out but to sell the company.
You touched on this. Everybody seems to be waiting for that recession to come. The Fed's been walking such a tightrope trying to bring down inflation. They predict unemployment's going to go up about another percentage point this year. They are hoping to still avoid a recession. But what is your read?
So I think everybody hopes to avoid a recession, except maybe those in the restructuring industry for whom that supplies work. But look, I know a lawyer, old bankruptcy practitioner, who likes to say, I predicted the last 3 recessions 7 times. So even when it seems apparent, that we're headed in that direction, often we don't get there. I mean, the governments, look what the government did with Silicon Valley. I mean, it can still play a major role in affecting the economy one way or the other. And I always wonder whether if something looks like it's going to happen, what the government will do.
The Honorable Kevin Carey, president of the American Bankruptcy Institute. Thank you so much for your time today.
You're very welcome, Simone.
What sets Straight Arrow News apart from the other guys? Well, for one, we're on a mission to serve you, not an agenda. So for factual, trustworthy reporting, head to straightarrownews.com.